only about 2 of those antigen test kits, 2 or 3 of them. Now, when this device was evaluated to see whether it was suitable for its purpose, we all know that the PCR is what we call the gold standard. And therefore, in evaluating this device, we evaluated it with the PCR. That means that we took 100 samples that were positive, that had been determined as positive using the PCR, took 100 samples that had been determined as negative by PCR. And then the machine was supposed to be able to detect if it is positive by PCR, should be positive by that machine. If it is negative by PCR, it should be negative by that machine. In doing so, we then realized that this device meets our specification of not less than 99% sensitive and not less than 99% specific, which means that when you say specificity, if it is negative, it should be negative. If you say sensitivity, if it is positive, it should be positive. That was how that device was registered. Another thing that we noticed on that particular device was that even with low viral loads, that means that when you have very little of the virus in you, so there's something called a cycle threshold, the device was able to detect even very low viral loads. That was one of the bases for which we actually registered that device. And that device has full authorization, not emergency use. We have 2 kinds. Emergency use is when we just give you a year. Then we continue to monitor, and then we see how it performs. This device has full authorization. I know there are questions about what about the circulating strains? Can this device detect? I can assure you that the test kits that people are using cannot detect strains. So all the other strains that are circulating, Delta, Gamma, and all the others, those test kits cannot detect them. However, as standard practice, when a device is registered, and that happened with a device at the airport, we demand that if there's any new circulating strain, the manufacturer of the device has to test that device with the circulating strain and let us know whether it can or it cannot. And we go to the site to go and verify. So we receive that information, and then we go and verify. So with this device at the airport, that was the case. And throughout the pandemic, the device has constantly informed the manufacturer and the company has constantly informed the FDA when there's a strain change, and we will go there and we'll go and verify the documentation that they have sent us to ensure that it is correct. We know that so far all the strains that are circulating, if you see the coronavirus as a drawing, you see it's like a round thing and then there are spikes on it. Most of the strains that are all the strains that are circulating, the mutation is on the spikes of the virus. This particular equipment detects the round part of the virus. Okay, it's called the envelope, the protein envelope. So currently, it's called the nucleoprotein. So currently, the device has not been affected by any of the circulating strains. And therefore, the performance of this system is not affected by Delta, by Zeta, by Gamma, Alpha, any of the strains. Until there's a mutation that occurs on the actual envelope, it will not be affected. The test will not, at the airport, will still give you the correct results. And actually, you notice that all the sequencing that the West African Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens has been doing, the airport device will catch the passenger as being positive, and when they go and test and they sequence, they find out that those strains have been picked up by the testing system at the airport. Now, after a product is evaluated by us, we don't just sit down and leave them to do their work as they want. In accordance with our conditions of approval, we periodically inspect the facility, the testing facility, and we will ensure that the device that was registered continues to perform as was registered. This ensures that the people have a good quality management system in place. They are not transferring infections from one person to the other. They are doing the work as they should do it to ensure that all the results that come out are valid and ensure that the integrity of the device is maintained. Some of the things that they do is, we look at is that from the time they pick up a sample from the traveler to the time that they issue a report, there should be a proper quality management system in place. And when we go, we can actually sometimes pick up a particular report and run through it from the beginning to the end to ensure that everything that was supposed to happen according to the standard operative procedures are done. We can even pick a report from about 3 months before and tell them to show us exactly which machine, and it shows, and we are holding it, and they can actually follow it through. Since testing started, I think in September last year, we have conducted 5 such inspections. Normally, we should be conducting inspections every quarter. But when it first started on the 1st of September, we were there on the 2nd of September, and we have been there constantly, and the last inspection was on the 28th of July. The testing facility themselves, before they start work, they have to do their daily system check. Therefore, before they start using the machine, they will check it. They will ensure that they have what you call the positive and the negative controls. They will run it to ensure that for that day, the machine will give the correct results. And when we go and do inspections, all those things have to be logged in for us to be able to verify that it was done. So far, we have not had any critical findings during these inspections. However, we have always recommended for continuous improvement. So that they do, and anything that we recommend that they do, they have done it. So far, we have not had any issues with the system at the airport. We even actually asked them that if you read a report, we have something called the 4I principle. Somebody else has to verify it before you issue the report out, and they are doing that. We are assuring Ghanaians that we will continue to monitor that particular system and any other device that we register for use. And we'll ensure that the quality management system that is required for the device integrity to be maintained and for the results that come out of that system to be credible will be so. And if anybody has any questions after this on the integrity of the device or the monitoring that we do or the evaluation that we did, please, I'll be very happy. The results that come out of that system to be credible will be so. And if anybody has any questions after this on the integrity of the device or the monitoring that we do or the evaluation that we did, please, I'll be very happy to answer questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's the FDA boss, Mrs. for giving us some public education this morning on what testing kits or testing machines or mechanisms have been certified in Ghana and the level of confidence that the FDA has in them. So please, if you see anybody making the claim that the machines don't work or that the thing is using nano something something which doesn't compare to something 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 and therefore it doesn't work, you've heard it from the FDA boss herself. I want to invite Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje. Doc, I know the numbers are up and at some point you may speak to it, but specifically there are questions about Ghana Health Services usage of some state quarantine facilities, etc. If you can start off on that, what is the status of that pillar of our response, which is dealing with the importation of spread and the things that we do to ensure that is not happening?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and good morning all. FDA boss has given an elaborate presentation, and I believe that the last press release that was done also gave us some outcomes. I just want to start with the airport system and the flow. I think we've been there with the Parliamentary Select Committee to see the flow, where you have a health declaration form which let us know exactly where you have been in the last 2 weeks and where you are coming from. And that's when we get to know who is positive or who is not positive. Once you are positive, the system again retests, and then you are sent down to a holding room where there's a doctor there and a nurse who will give you a triage to see this person who is positive, what situation. Is he sick? Is he symptomatic? Does he have any other comorbidity that is of relevance? And if they cannot do that, because especially in the evening when they are there, we have nurses in the hotels where they will do that. They are then transported to the hotels. And so far we have about 6 of such hotels, 6 or more of such hotels, all around the airport area with a negotiated package for people to pay for. Like we said, those carrying Ghanaian passports are offered the Ghana Isolation Center at Pantine. That is, if you opt not to go there, then you have to now decide to pick a hotel where you pay. The hotel is a package that includes your accommodation, meals, and etc. And then you go there. And these are negotiated prices that are relatively low compared to what their charges really are. And then there's a nurse there who checks you up and makes sure everything is fine. And then, of course, the second test is done on the third day. And then on the 7th day, there's a repeat test. If you are negative on the third day, you are discharged. Then you have to wait till the 7th day. If you are still positive, you wait till the 7th day. In line with our protocol, that is making sure that you do not leave the place able to shed the virus. We are convinced that after 7 days, you are not able to share the virus. And so even if you still remain positive, you will still allow to go unless you fall sick at the place whilst your condition changes, for which you'll be transferred to the hospital for management of the case. So basically, that is the flow. So there's no challenge. Yesterday, after testing nearly 1,800 or so people, we had 3 positives. But you can also see that how sensitive it is. As you see the global trends go up, you also see the surge at the airport. That tells you that it's really reactive to the prevalence of the virus. And so we have a lot of confidence in the system, and we will continue to apply the protocols as it stands until such time that, and as I mentioned the last 2 weeks Wednesday, there are even more stricter protocols by other countries. But we are able to, so all countries have them, but we need to understand that this is a virus that has a different character, and so all protocols are geared towards limiting importation into the country. This is not to say that is 100% proof that nobody will come through, because somebody may be incubating at a time and test positive. And that's why countries that we have determined as a current hotspot, we follow them up on the 3rd day to check them up and see whether they are still okay. And for those who are found positive, those sitting around them, we also follow them and do contact tracing on them to be sure that they have not been able to pick the virus along the way. So basically, that's what I can talk about as far as the airport is concerned. But I'm sure if there are questions behind, I will be able to answer. So I can now go ahead with the presentation of the current status. And the next slide, yes. The current situation is that as at the 1st of August, we have confirmed a total of 106,434 cases. And I'll give you the further analysis of that. And that the total tests done is 1,449, 1.49 million tests. There were 98,814 recoveries, and we have so far recorded 854 deaths. And you can see that we started this problem with about 817, so you can see how many people have done. Our current active case is 6,766, and this is quite worrying. So that tells us that in the last few weeks, we have increased, our active cases are increased from 1,600, that's in the last 1 month, to over 6,000 in 1 month. There has been a very steep rise in the active cases in the last 2 weeks. We have increasing hospitalization and deaths. We are having some emerging hotspots outside Accra and Kumasi that we know of. That is, now we have Volta having new cases. Bono is also sharing some cases. We also have workplace and school outbreaks taking place. We also have seen, as all of you are aware, that still there's a total disregard to the use of the face mask by the general population. And unfortunately, the Delta variant has become the main dominant variant currently as we speak now, especially in Greater Accra region, where we've done extensive work. The next slide. So you can see that from the curves that you are seeing, the third wave is on its way up, and we hope that we will work, and we, all of us, not just the health sector, including the people, will be able to avert this by applying the protocols and adhering to all the protocols, including acceptance of contact tracing, cooperating with contact tracing and isolation, so that we can bring these numbers down. So if you look at the 7-day moving average, the next slide, you can see a steep rise. In the second wave, we are very approaching where we peaked in the second wave. But it's an opportunity for us to work very hard to start reversing this by simply applying the very protocol that has worked for us over the years, over the months, the first and the second wave, to be able to bring this down. The general hotspots still remain as we speak today. Accra is deeper, then followed by Ashanti region. And then you have the other regions. Now we're seeing Volta, color is getting deeper. Eastern, Central are also showing increasing number of cases. When we come to Volta region, we've seen a lot of few more schools there getting outbreak. That is also influencing the numbers they are getting. If you look at our active cases, you can see that the chart there is quite steep now. Very steep. The last second wave, we peaked at about 8,000. And if nothing is done urgently, in the next 1 or so week, we might just cross the 8,000 mark. So there's a lot that we all need to do to avert this. This has also shown in our hospitalization. Currently, just in Greater Accra alone, we have 272 persons on admission because of COVID. 36 of them are critical. Severe cases are 87, and about 149 are mild to moderate. There are over this, you can see that there's a steep increase in the number of critical cases, making it difficult for the case management team and affecting our ability to provide ICU beds for the teeming number of people who currently need one. I've talked a bit about the airport already, but beside the discussion on the flow and the challenges that have been raised and that have been cleared, as at 7 a.m. on the 4th of August, we've had a total of 2,407 cases, which represent about 0.59, about 0.6% of all those who have been tested at the airport. That tells you that about 99 plus of all the people who test are negative, and that is in reflection of our prevalence. Majority of them are males, 63% and 37% female. The usual numbers have not changed. About 4 out of 10 are Ghanaians and the 6 are non-Ghanaians. And this includes Ghanaians also carrying foreign passports. The month of July, they recorded the highest number of cases among our international airports since the 1st of September. So last month was the highest level that we ever peaked since we started testing at the airport. I will show you the next slide. So you can see that in July, we crossed the January, February one that was shown at the second wave. And so that tells you that this is probably a more severe situation that we are in than I'm sure those of you who follow the global news. It's not only Ghana. There are many countries around the world where they are increasing the surge, and that is what is also being picked up at the airport. We just started in August, and we're already having some cases already. For the schools, the total number, 404 schools have recorded cases, which is an increase over the last time we spoke here. We have had a cumulative total of 2,864 positive cases. Currently, we have 304 active cases. Remember, some time ago, we were just having about 11 active cases. We even dropped to 2 active cases. But there is an increase. But this is not to say there's an overwhelming surge in schools, because we are looking at about 11 million people in school. But you can see that there's an increase. And what is very clear is that it's happening in schools where adherence to the protocols and the guidance that was given is not being adhered to. So we are using this platform to remind all health teachers and headmasters to ensure that these protocols are adhered to, going to dining hall in batches, making sure everybody wear masks in class and around the campus, and ensure that then things that will bring them assemblies, etc., should not be carried out, so that there's a risk of transmission is significantly reduced. There are other active cases. Volta has 138, Ashanti 57, Oti 38, Eastern 26, Bono 20, Greater Accra has 19. They used to be the lead after with their Chumota issues. Western has 4, and Ahafo has 4. The rest of the country, the places, have not reported any active cases. So in total, Volta region has reported the highest number, or cumulatively, the highest number of about 650 active cases in their schools. Northeast still has not reported any case in the schools. So the next slide will just take us through the regions, number of schools affected, etc., and then that will be made available to you. So what are the emerging hotspots? If you can go to the next slide. We started this with Ashanti and Greater Accra as the core areas where the surge was happening. Now, in the last few weeks, Volta region, as I said earlier, has been showing number of increasing cases, but that is always mainly fueled by the schools. You have Bono is also reporting cases. We are having Bono region reporting cases. For example, for July, at the 1st of July, there were 16 active cases compared to the 532 they have now. So you can imagine that in 1 month, the number of increase that has happened in the place. Bono had 8 cases at the 1st of July. Now they have 200 cases. Bono East started July with 3, but they now have 178 cases. So these are regions that we are watching out for, and the regional directors are putting up stricter measures to ensure that we are able to do our testing, isolation, and of course increase the risk communication. But that will depend on all of us, including how the media here that will help us to look at that. So what are the traditional hotspots? That is Greater Accra and Ashanti region. We have 22 out of the 29 districts in Greater Accra recorded cases on the 1st of August. So it's only 7 districts in Greater Accra that is spared so far. And Ashanti, 23 out of the 43 districts are actively reporting cases. Ayawaso West, Korle Klote, Accra Metro are key districts to watch. Ayawaso West, we have explained the rationale to that, but that is still a spread of the Accra Metro generally. Ashanti is also having increases in districts that were previously recorded no cases. These are Mansia Central, Achumakwanguma, and Seche South. We are also having some hospital outbreaks, of which we are dealing with the hospital managers and the facility owners and the agencies responsible to ensure that the right systems are put in place to curtail any hospital outbreaks. So what has been the drivers to the current increase? The non-adherence to the protocols remains the main challenge. Inappropriate use of the face mask. Sometimes we say inappropriate because we realize that most people leave their house with their mask in their pocket. We went to an event and we asked that everybody should just wave their mask. And everybody waved their mask. And we asked them, please, wear them. Because they were all not wearing them. And I think we need to really imbibe that practice. We have low adherence, the hand washing. You have Veronica bucket that have run out of water, or no soap, or no tissue. And I think we need to go back to that. The non-maintenance of the social distancing is becoming an issue. People are organizing all kinds of events across the country. That brings, without the necessary protocols, that brings challenges to the system and creates web. The Delta variant has a higher capacity for transmission, and as we speak now, is the dominant variant. It's taken over from the Alpha, particularly in Greater Accra. The last data we saw, about 79% of all the variants detected were Delta. And that means that we are in a different situation, that we will need to adhere to our protocol. The good thing is that you don't need any special protection. The very same protection of hand washing, social distancing, and wearing your mask is still what you need, whatever the variant you're dealing with. We still have the fact that many people are unvaccinated, but also we remind those who are vaccinated that they are not exempt. And they saw that at the airport, or people who have vaccinated, they were positive, repeated, it was also clear they're still positive. It is very, very a known fact that you can still be infected because there's no vaccine that gives you 100% protection. The unfortunate thing is that in an environment where about 98% of those who are supposed to be vaccinated are not vaccinated, you are likely to transmit it to somebody who is unprotected. Because you are the vaccinated, you may not fall very sick. You may be able to sort of clear the virus in a very short time, but the other people will not have that opportunity. And so let's not use the advantage some of us have had to get vaccinated and use that to transmit to the unfortunate people. Non-adherence to home isolation in protocols in person with COVID-19. We're doing home management, and we do not have, we cannot isolate everybody, but those who we look at their environment that they can sort of self-isolate. Some of them are not obeying the protocols. We hear them in markets and etc. when the doctors are looking for them to see a follow-up on their issues. So these are the drivers for the thing, and we think we have all the answers. Are basically the protocol. There has been an issue of update on the verification of those who are vaccinated. We need to sort of work towards ensuring that data is correct. Names are spelled properly, especially those who are traveling. The ages are appropriate. We realized that a few issues in terms of the way the information that was shared to us. So we have currently opened a desk at the airport that anybody who is traveling, as soon as you cross Port Health, you have a desk there. You go, if you are fully vaccinated, go with your card. They will look at your system, validate that you are properly vaccinated, and then correct all the information and update it so that when you use the QR code, when you arrive, it will be able to show the information. We don't want a situation where your name is mixed up, it's not spelled properly, your age doesn't match, and then create a problem for us. So we open that. A significant number of people, about more than half of them, become validate, but we still have some where we have challenges with the data provided so that we can ensure that that is done. So the contact center is there, but also if you want to travel, have time, you can also go to the district where you are vaccinated, and this verification and can be done to ensure that your data is appropriately imputed and verified to matching very well what your real information is and what is in the database. So, Honorable, on the outlook is that the current trajectory of cases is with the slow adherence pose a significant risk for us with a higher surge in this wave. The average cases per day likely to increase with attendant increase in severe and critical cases if nothing is done. The potential for negative income on outbreak on all sectors is very high because this has an effect on, has a knock-on effect on everything that we do in this country. And aggressive effort at reversing this trend is currently needed. We are currently expanded our ability to provide oxygen for those who are sick. We have ultra-negative fridges across the country so that we can access additionally all the vaccines that are available and not limited to those that are only 2 to 8 degrees. We are engaging influencers to help us with the risk communication, and I'm sure the influencers are in this room, and so you can all be part of the risk communication group and scale up everything, including public campaigns to ensure that we have that. And if you have a mask, give one to your neighbor. That will be helpful for those who don't have mask. So, Honorable Minister, we will just remind people about the protocols, and then we want to ensure that there's some enforcement, not necessarily by the security service, but ourselves, that enforce. When you come to my office, you have to wear a mask. You have to come to your compound, you have to wear a mask. If you are coming to somebody's house, ensure that the person coming in is wearing a mask. These are all part of the enforcement that we can go on. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's a good time to take your questions now, colleagues. As I mentioned, it's meant to be a quick briefing. If you have a question, now is the time to take it. Questions for FDA and for the Ghana Health Service. Ghana News Agency has questions. Are there any others? Okay, and then TV3 as well has questions.
Yeah, Doc. As you rightly said, enforcement is not necessary by the security agencies, by ourselves. But we are in a country whereby people are very recalcitrant and they are not prepared to comply with the directive. And I remember when this COVID started, the soldiers and the police were on the street, and if you are not wearing mask, you were asked to get down from the vehicle. And I think it worked. But you said it's ourselves, and people are not complying. You have been telling us that these COVID safety protocols are not being adhered to. And for almost 3 weeks, we have been saying it, and the people are still not observing. Don't you think that the police and the military should come in to enforce it? Because it worked when the issue came up. And two, you said oxygen to those who are sick, ultra-negative fridges. I remember, Mr. 2 weeks ago when you came, you said you're about to take delivery of 4 oxygen plants or so. Can you update us on it? I think these are.
Thank you very much. TV3 had a question.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Joseph Armstrong. I'm with TV3. So just 2 questions with 1 follow-up. First of all, I just want to find out from you about the students who are among the infected cases. Have we recorded any death among them? And then also, you know, about the issue of those coming from outside being quarantined at various hospitals. I have received a number of videos.
Hospitals or hotels?
Hotels.
Okay.
Hotels. I have received a number of videos with some of them asking us to come undercover at such places because what is happening there, I mean, they don't think what is happening there is a proper COVID protocol observation because, one, they pick them from the airport. The people that pick them, first of all, are not well geared up. They are not wearing any COVID protective clothes. They get to the hotels, they see people come and use the swimming pools in there, and that place is supposed to be a quarantine environment. But this is what is happening there. And also they spoke about the fact that if government is not taking up the cost, why don't you allow them quarantine themselves in their various homes, and then the Ministry of Health from time to time will be checking out on them rather than keeping them there for them to pay so much money they claim they don't have. The last, that is a follow-up question. Are you satisfied with the, so far, are you satisfied with the protocols being observed by the Feed the Country demonstrators? Thank you.
Are there any further questions? That'll be it for our questions this morning. Are there any questions for the Food and Drugs Authority? No questions. Doc, so you wrap up for us.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure FDA is very clear. So, yes, I said enforcement should include ourselves. We've not ruled out other agencies participating in enforcement, and I think we'll be very happy if we see some enforcement as well coming in there. I'm sure the Honorable Minister may want to chip in on that. In terms of the update, yes, we have received oxygen plants currently installed at Ghana East, and so our oxygen challenges are significantly reduced. We are expecting a lot more oxygen to come in. We are expecting some plants on the 19th of August. That will be add to boost our capacity as far as oxygen is concerned, not just for Accra, but for the rest of the country. On the issue of ultra-negative fridges, I think the last time we gave you numbers, even the President also gave numbers. We have about 300 of them. We have about a large number, almost 48 of the larger 900cc fridges, for which at least every region can have 2, so that they can store enough of these vaccines should they be available. So we are not limited to just AstraZeneca or those you can store. So that gives us our capability to be able to deploy all types of vaccines and ability to attract more vaccines into the country. So that's just the number. We are also going to have smaller delivery vans that can also help us move vaccines quickly between regions and between districts as quickly as possible. Recently, we have received support from UPS, about 16 of those fridges, and Cosmos also gave us a cold van to help us the service deliver oxygen vaccines across the country. For the students, we've only recorded a death, one death, and that is the person had COVID, but also a sickler. Otherwise, we've not had any. He had a sickle cell disease. We've not had any deaths so far from the students. On the issue of the hotels, for example, for those who you are in your room, okay, and so they are served in their rooms. There are times they are allowed to come and sit in some open spaces, but they are not mixing with the general population. If you are being asked to roam around alone, some of those hotels, there will be sometimes nobody there apart from those of them who are there. And I don't know what they call PPEs. I'm wearing an N95 mask, and that's all I need to stand before a patient who is positive. I don't need a cap, I don't need gloves, I don't need a whole gown, etc. to do that. So if they are expecting people to dress that way, that is not what it is. When you are going to do treatment on people who are very sick and they are not wearing masks, etc., that is when you need to have the full gear. And so when we say PPE, you are wearing PPE. I'm wearing one. So,
Doc, you know, sometimes when we watch the movies, they are wearing a full hazmat suit.
yes, so
that's what they're talking
that
about.
is for specific cases. What you are dealing with will determine how much more material we wear, gloves, boots, and gum boots, etc., caps, etc. That's the difference. If you go to Ghana, you see them there. But not even when it's when they are moving in. That thing is very hot. You can't wear it for too long. So they move in, and within 20, 30 minutes, they have to come out. And someone else will go in and just take their breath and go back. So if they're expecting that, that's not what they expect. After all, there are people in town who are, you don't even know they are positive. That's why we say you don't know who is positive. Just wear your mask. That's all the PPE you need. The self-quarantine, we tried that before. And you call, follow up, and then the person, oh, I'm busy, I'm in a funeral, I'm in the market. And we also have ways of following you up. Even if you make a call, we can see where you are standing. And you see people in Kaswa everywhere not adhering. So obviously the adherence was poor. And that's why we moved from the we were at the airport, we were asking them to self-isolate at home. National security go and see your environment. If they feel you can self-isolate and not expose people in the household, they go, you have only one room for 4 people, definitely you have to put you in a government isolating center. But so, that's what it is. That's why we moved away from that. Adherence and compliance was very poor. The last one is, I've not followed that very much. I see demonstrations on TV. Yes, some of them are not wearing masks. And ideally, if that will not take place, that such mass gathering will not take place, that would be the ideal thing. But when it's happening, people must be able to respect the social distancing and wear their PPEs. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Doc, please resume your seat. We're grateful to yourself and the Food and Drugs Authority that on a holiday morning like this you joined us. And colleagues, we're grateful to you that you made time to join us. Please let the country know these are the details, and we must be fully responsible for our safety first. Thank you. Wish you all the best.
Ejumei